All right, let's talk about DeFi auto-compounding vaults. You've probably seen them. They have this huge promise, right? This idea that you can take these really complex yield strategies and just make them simple. A set it and forget it for your crypto. But as we're about to see, what looks simple on the surface can be hiding a whole lot of complexity underneath. So yeah, let's dive in. I mean, the promise is awesome. A single deposit, and you get access to these automated, high-yield strategies without doing any of the heavy lifting. But the reality, well, the reality is a bit messier. You're often dealing with all these layers of risk, fees you didn't see coming, and all sorts of dependencies you might not even know exist. And that gap between the promise and the reality is exactly what we're going to unpack today. And this leads to the single most important point of this whole thing. Just because something is convenient, that absolutely does not make it safe. In fact, a lot of the time, that convenience is just hiding the risks that you really, really need to understand. So, to get a handle on those risks, we've got to pop the hood. We need to open up what is basically a black box and see what a vault is actually doing with your money behind the scenes. Okay, so at its core, what is a vault? It's really just a piece of code, a smart contract that acts like your own personal automated portfolio manager. You hand over your crypto, and it just runs a pre-programmed playbook, whether that's lending, liquidity farming, or, something way more complicated. From the outside, the whole thing looks incredibly easy. You deposit your funds, the vault does its thing, and your earnings are automatically put back to work to make even more earnings. I mean, that simplicity is the whole sales pitch. But the real magic and all the danger happens in step 2. That's where all the hidden parts start to connect. And this brings us to this critical idea of stacked risk. Think of it like you're building a Jenga tower. Every new piece you add to make it taller and more convenient also creates a new way for the whole thing to come crashing down. Being hands-off often just means there are more dependencies you can't see. So at the very bottom of this tower, the foundation, you have the risk of the assets themselves. If your vault is using a liquidity pool, well, guess what? You're exposed to all the risks of that pool. We're talking about things like impermanent loss, where you could end up with less money than if you just held the tokens, or even the risk that one of the tokens in the pair just goes to zero. Okay, so on top of that, let's stack the next block, the vault's own smart contract risk. The code for the vault itself could have a bug, right? Or an exploit that some hacker finds. This is a totally separate risk from the protocol it's even using. Then you've got another layer, the strategy's logic. This one's kind of tricky because the strategy itself might be the weak link. It could work perfectly when the market's going up, but what happens when everything suddenly crashes? An automated strategy can't think on its feet. It just follows the code, even if that code is leading it off a cliff. And finally, we stack on what might be the most important layer of them all. Who's in charge here? Who has control? A lot of these vaults have something called admin keys. These keys can change the entire strategy, they can pause your withdrawals, they can do a lot. And if those keys end up in the wrong hands, well, so do your funds. Look, I know that sounds like a lot to worry about, but the good news is you can cut through all this noise. We're going to go through a really simple 5-question checklist you can use to get the clarity you need before you even think about depositing. First things first, and it's a basic one, what do you actually hold? When you deposit, you get back a vault token, but what does that token even represent? Is it a piece of a stablecoin pool? Is it a super volatile token pair? You have to know what you're truly exposed to. Question 2 is all about the how. A big, flashy APY number is totally meaningless if you don't know where it's coming from. Is it from trading fees? Is it token rewards that are just going to get dumped on the market? Lending interest? Understanding the source of the yield is how you figure out if it's sustainable or if it's pure fantasy. Next up, let's talk about fees. Because that beautiful APY they advertise on the front page, that's almost always the gross yield before they've taken their cut. You have to do some digging to find out what fees are being taken out because they can take a huge bite out of your real return. And it's usually not just one fee. As you can see, there can be a bunch of layers. You might have a management fee on your total deposit, a performance fee on the profits, fees from the other protocols the vault is using, and sometimes they even charge you a fee just to take your own money out. This brings us right back to that huge question of control. Who has the power to change the rules of the game after you've already put your money in? Is it one developer with total control? Is it a team? Is it a DAO? The answer tells you everything about the centralization risk you're taking on. So let's look at how this control is usually set up. A single centralized admin key, That's the riskiest setup by far. A multi-signature wallet, or a multisig, that's better because it means a few different people have to agree on a change. But the best case scenario is a time lock. That forces a public delay between when a change is announced and when it actually happens, which gives you time to get out if you don't like it. And the final question, and honestly, this might be the most important one, what's the fire escape plan? When the market is in a free fall and everybody is running for the exit at the same time, how do you get your funds out? Are there limits on withdrawals? How much value could you lose just trying to get out the door? Okay, so now you've got the checklist. Let's quickly run through some huge red flags. These are the signs that should make you slam on the brakes and seriously reconsider. If the strategy is super vague or sounds way too good to be true, it probably is. If they aren't totally transparent about the fees, or if you can't find any independent security audits of the code, be super careful. And like we've been saying, a single admin with total control or no clear plan for what happens in an emergency, those are major, major warning signs.
This quote right here just says it all. If you read through all the docs and you still can't clearly explain to a friend how you would get your money out in a crisis, just skip it. Seriously, it's the ultimate test. If you can't explain the exit, you shouldn't be looking for the entrance. So when you boil it all down, it comes to a pretty simple trade-off. DeFi vaults are trading the convenience of automation for layers and layers of hidden complexity and risk. By using this checklist, you can start to peel back those layers and actually see what you're getting into. And then you can decide for yourself, is that a trade you're willing to make?